My goodness, one of these days I will learn how to run my camera so that I don't lose everything. Okay, I got a text right in the middle. I forgot to put it on airplane mode, so I'll see if I can back up to where I left off. And that was talking about the art glitter glue. I did say this is my favorite, and it is because it does dry quickly. It dries clear, it dries quickly, and it holds really well. It also has this metal tip that has a really tiny tip on it that gives you just a fine bead so that you don't end up, as I said before, changing the structure of your paper because it's too thick. You do have to have this stainless steel pen which comes with it, and I know that you can order more. I just never had, and I've lost one already, so I put this makeup sponge on the side to hold that when I take it off, so I'm not losing my pen. However, I don't always remember to do that, but when I do, it works really well. If you do use Elmer's glue, I think I was starting to tell you, one of the problems I see with that is sometimes it comes out really thick, and you can have crunchy paper, and it's thick paper, and it's not like here. You can kind of see maybe that this is pretty thin, and it's a little bit handier to work with, and if we're going to adhere other stuff, it makes a difference. I think we talked about the Fabri-Tac maybe. That's my other type of glue that I like, Fabri-Tac, Fabri-Fix 3-in-1. That's a heavier one. I think I talked about that. That's good for for material or anything other than paper. Okay, what we lost was that I had taken my 6 envelopes and attached them. And I put washi tape on that seam. I just used my glue stick and an old catalog, and I ran a bead of glue before I put my washi tape on, and that's because a lot of times washi is not strong enough to hold. That adhesive, especially if it gets old, won't hold on to it. And I was worried that these were kind of flimsy envelopes, and I didn't know if this crease would hold up with you constantly moving it. And I didn't want my envelopes to come apart as people were looking at the pictures and everything I'd put in it. So I did washi tape one side, then I used my bone folder and went over that so I had a good crease before I washi taped the second side. You wouldn't really have to do that, but that's what I chose to do. Now, if you'll notice, when I glued it together, I stuck the flap to the side that doesn't have the opening, and that's what I did on all of these. So I just laid the envelope one inside the other one, lined it up as well as I could, and then folded the flap over. I glued the flap really well. You could maybe try just using the adhesive on the envelope, but I'd be afraid that wouldn't hold. Now we are going to come through and put other paper on top, so it might not be a big deal, but I did take my art glitter glue and go around the edges and just through the middle. You could do the same thing with a glue stick if that's what you choose to do. So I put one inside the other, as I said here, and then I put the next one inside and glued the flap, and the next one inside and glued the flap, and the next one inside and glued the flap. And now I have my very last one, and this flap, I don't need to glue that to anything. So I'm going to just glue that to itself. So I'm going to take my art glitter glue and go around the edges. This is what we lost when somebody texted me and I wasn't on airplane mode. And I did tried to point out that this is a really thin bead of glue, so it doesn't clump up on you. I'm going to stick it down, and I'm still going to do a really nice finger press over this. Now, as far as these openings and these those aren't really going to hurt anything that they're open, because we're either going to come down or we're going to come from the side. But to be on the safe side, it's really not going to hurt to just stick a little bit of glue right in here and stick that down. So I'll just go in and do that on all of these, and just take a second to do that. Then I know I don't have anything loose in those pockets for anything to catch on, like any tag that I'm going to put in there. As you can see, I have my trusty paper towel here that I use for everything. I stick washi tape on it. I have cleaned my stamps on it, and I probably had a cup of tea on there. Keep it to the side, and it's just a handy thing to have. And whoops, I didn't remember to put this in my sponge, but I'm trying to get better. So again, I'm just putting this glue on here to keep these flaps from being able to catch on any of my tags that I put in, or journaling cards, or whatever you want to call them. Okay, I hope you got how I put this together. I don't think there's any really right or wrong way, except that you just put one envelope inside another, excuse me, and glue the flap down. Then you put the next one in and glue the flap down, the next one in, glue the flap down, until you get all of them. Now I have all of them in here, and now I can fold this to that concertina style that I talked about, and I probably will run my bone folder over that. And this is how you want this to come out looking. Okay? Excuse me. Now, I did already start this, and as you can see, I did use a different washi tape. All I did for this first part that I lost in my video, on this one, I did not cut any kind of a little inset with my punch to put a pocket in there, because it's this I'm using for my cover. So I glued the whole piece down. I did go ahead and ink around that, and the ink I used was Vintage Photo, and it's Ranger's Distress Oxide Vintage Photo, and I just used a little dauber here, and all I do was go around the edges. This is not something that you have to do. I kind of like it because it gives you a little more distinction at the edges of your paper. I didn't do that to my stars, but it's something that you can do or not do. So this was just one of those pieces of cardstock that I showed you earlier that came with those envelopes, and it happened to be, of course, a yellow one. This was from that paper pack, and I did forget to tell you that one thing I like about that paper for this project is it's really thin. It's one-sided and it's thin, so it doesn't make this real bulky, so I have room for pictures. I had some stars that I'd punched out at different colors, so I went ahead and just put those on here. And then this happens to be one of the little notches that I cut out for my, when I put my notches in for my pockets, and I just used that. I thought, well, I just usually use everything. So I stuck the green one right there. This page is the one that, another one that I lost. And all this is, again, you can see I took that cardstock, which just happened to be green. I inked around the edges. I took that circle punch, and I just put my, I did all my papers ahead of time, but all I did was put my paper in there. I tried to center it as best I could, and then I just put my paper in about halfway and clipped it out. And that's what I did for all my pages. Sometimes I did it on the side, sometimes I did it on the top. So that's what I did, and then I glued it down. I decided that this was too white for me, so I did end up taking my ink dauber and just going over that a little bit so that it didn't look quite so white. And I may go over this whole thing and just kind of do any of these white edges. I haven't really decided, but I may do that. This piece right here, all I did was take a 9-inch long piece of paper and folded it in thirds, made a trifold like this. I did end up cutting off this one right here just a little bit so that it would fit inside and not catch or bend. Now when I did that, I took, see if I got a little piece of paper here. This isn't very good, but I just took it and folded it, and then I just took my scissors for the top and just kind of did a little semicircle like this. We'll pretend that's all one, but that's how I did my top. I didn't have any kind of a pattern. If you wanted, you could take a bowl or a lid or something and actually go around that. You didn't even have to make it a semicircle. You could have left it just square. It doesn't matter. But I glued this star down. I only glued it about halfway so that this was left loose so that I could tuck my pages in just like that. I thought on this one it would be really nice. I could put 3 different pictures here. I could put 2 pictures and what I wanted to say about it. I could put 1 picture and tell stories, whatever you want to do on that. It doesn't really matter. But that's what I did to that page. I think now we can go to the next video and it will finish this up. Thanks a lot for listening, and please excuse that I don't know what I'm doing. Thanks. Have a great day.